Hello everyone and welcome to another Little Nightmares theory video. Today we're talking about something that has played on my mind for as long as I can remember, and now that we have nearly done all the major theories and they're all out the way, it's time to tackle some of those smaller questions regarding Little Nightmares, and in this case, 6. Yep, that's right. We're bringing it back to Little Nightmares 1 today. So of course I do have to warn you, this video is going to contain major spoilers for Little Nightmares, and also Little Nightmares 2, Very Little Nightmares, and the DLCs, so just take that as you will, and your spoiler warning has been issued to you. But anyway, with the formalities out the way, let's continue. So we all know in Little Nightmares 1, throughout the game we are tasked with finding all the gnomes in their hidden places and hugging them until we receive an audio notification and an animation. With the animations in mind, there's something that rather goes unnoticed. There are actually quite a few animations that can be played depending on how Six approaches the gnome. There is one animation for approaching from the front of the gnome and one from approaching behind, and of course everything in between. Each has its own unique animation and how Six reacts and behaves. And of course, once you actually play the animation and it all plays out, you get the sound of a chime, if you will, and a notification that you have hugged one of the gnomes and it's confirmed. After you do collect all the gnomes, you receive an achievement called Little Lost Things, and the description is kindness will be your undoing. So of course the achievement is alluding towards the gnomes, and how they are the little lost things that Six has to find, or so we think. Interestingly, the depiction is more from the point of the gnomes, as it's a warning to the gnomes. Kindness will be your undoing. This, of course, is warning them about the possibility and, of course, the demise if they interact with Six. And, well, again, we all know what happens now, don't we? R.I.P. Runaway Kid. And of course, as well as an achievement, you also gain a different kind of ending. Now, it isn't as brand spanking new as the ending in Little Nightmares 2, where you got an extra scene. No, this ending is more of a visual type of thing, showing you that all the gnomes are gathering to watch her leave the moor. And of course, you can only count 12, because again, R.I.P. Runaway Kid, one doesn't make it. They all watch Six as she walks up the stairs to continue her journey elsewhere. Of course, you don't see any type of different behaviour from the gnomes, they just use their random idle animations. But they are there to watch her depart, which is strange behaviour for them, considering Six just, 1, ate one of their own, as many of them watched, and 2, once you connect with that gnome and hug it, it will follow you. So why aren't they following here? So it brings us to the age-old question of, why does Six even hug them in the first place? While there is no confirmed answer as to why Six actually hugs the gnome, and believe me, I've been looking for years, all we can do as fans and theorists is speculate on the matter, and that's of course what I'm going to be doing right now. So I have a few thoughts in particular about this. My first thought was that Six would hug these creatures for comfort, because in the world of Little Nightmares, they pose no threat to Six. You could describe them as children lost in the sea of darkness, helpless and alone. Six finds that type of familiarity in this, and the gnomes offer her comfort in these trying times. Perhaps it even reminds Six of a simpler time, or even the ability to trust someone again, which I imagine doesn't happen a lot in the world of Little Nightmares, as everyone is out to just protect themselves and survive this world. Another idea that I had was because Six knows who the gnomes really are. It's worth noting that if we are correct in the order of the games, which of course would mean Very Little Nightmares 2, then Little Nightmares 1, Six has already at some point encountered a gnome at the hunter's house, where she was held. Perhaps Six only survived being captured by the hunter for so long with the help and emotional support of the gnomes. This could explain why she was so jumpy with the first encounter with Mono, another child. Perhaps it's even worth rethinking the markings on the wall in the room where Mono finds Six, because as we know from the Hideaway DLC, the gnomes are still very talented at telling their stories through their artwork and on the walls, and it's funny because it even matches the characteristics of the gnomes' previous work on that DLC. So perhaps at some point there was a gnome with Six Six, and the gnome was the one doing some of the writing on the wall. This could also explain why the drawings are so far down the wall as well. As we note when we look at those markings, they're all at different heights. And if you really want to speculate further, perhaps even the markings on the walls aren't to do with days that have gone by. Perhaps it's the amount of gnomes that have passed through, or anything in that regard. Again, that's a rabbit hole that you could really fall into. But again, take that with a pinch of salt. Also, perhaps Six knows who the gnomes really are could have a different meaning to it, if you know what I mean. Like, maybe not knowing them by bonding in the hunter's cabin, but maybe she knows that they were once children. Although that would make the seam of the sausage even worse. The other thought I had was perhaps Six does this in case she needs to use them in the future. Because we've seen in the Runaway Kit, the gnomes that you interact with start following you and copying you like a child. In the Hideaway DLC, this was a massive part of the game. It was a gameplay feature, and perhaps Six knows about this and has used the gnomes previously to her advantage before. And living in Little Nightmares, perhaps Six is preparing for anything that might come her way in the future and not taking any chances. Who could in this world, right? It's an interesting thought, but ultimately we do have to come up with our own ideas with this. In all honesty with it, I actually do believe Tasia made this conscious choice not to give us an answer in this regard, because it gives you another form of mystery surrounding Six's persona and character and her connections and emotions, and it just really plays out well for the game completely. But I've always assumed and found comfort in the idea that it was just Six being nice for just one tiny moment. Just one small moment, little moment, where she would feel like a kid again maybe, taking a break from a hunt for higher power and survival. It was a way to break the tension and fear in this dark world. And it's funny how they're always found most of the time around some type of light, because, well, the gnomes are that. A little bit of light in the unforgivable nightmare world. Who wouldn't want to find some comfort by the fire for a small amount of time? It's funny, the achievement's called Little Lost Things, and we always assumed the gnomes were the little lost things, but I don't think that's the case. Six, Mono, Runaway Kid, and every other surviving child, they're the lost ones, and the gnomes were the light in the darkness, the warmth from the fire, and comfort. Perhaps even an old friend to some. But with that being said, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know why you think Six Hugs the Gnomes. And of course, if you've enjoyed this video and love Little Nightmares theories and content and everything in between, make sure you hit subscribe and support the channel. We're really aiming for 100k this year. Hopefully we're going to hit it, but who knows? You never know. It's YouTube, isn't it? But with that being said, have a lovely morning, day, or night wherever you are in this world. Stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next Little Nightmares theory video.